This is Eric L. Dunavant, the Mindset Disruption Strategist. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Redefining Success. Okay, so before we get started today, buckle up. Put on your big boy pants and get comfortable with the fact that today may carry a little bit of profanity and you just need to get comfortable with it. Because joining me today is Donnie Boivin, the CEO of Success Champion Networking. And the title, the key phrase for them is you can't do epic shit if you aren't surrounded by basic people. And I think we need to talk about that. The thing that I loved in looking at Donnie's story that we're going to hopefully dig into a little bit is that he built a business, he burned to the ground and then figured it out. And that's what I love when we talk about redefining success. So Donnie, thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, dude, my honor. Just the small conversation we had before this, man. I am stoked to jump in here with you. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I look forward to bringing as much value to your people as possible. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do this.
Yeah. Thank you. So my first question is always the same. It's a Saturday afternoon. I've got the grill fired up, burgers and hot dogs on the grill. I've invited all my friends over. And I would love for you to introduce yourself to my friends, but you can't talk about what you do for a living.
So I'm a simple country dude. Grew up in a blue collar lifestyle where dad was a truck driver, mom worked in factories. I spent my entire life working for other people. Now, my wife and I enjoy a beautiful farm in Texas. We have dwarf Nigerian goats, turkeys, guineas, geese, whole menagerie, sugar gliders, bearded dragons, man. And our entire world centers around the animals we have and the people we can constantly bring in our life, man. We're a family first family, and we're enjoying life as fast and hard as we possibly can.
That's fantastic. Any children?
None that I know about.
My
wife hates it every time I say that.
Hey, Donnie, I want to get into everything that you've got going on, but why don't we just start with this question? What are you passionate about?
So the biggest thing, so I think everybody needs to have a vision in their life. And so a vision is something that is so impactful, so powerful. It's what you're creating, and you got it right because other people want to help you build it. Okay. So that's vision. My purpose in life, though, my absolute purpose is to get the people the knowledge of all the things I wish I knew on the journey that nobody was telling me. Right. Literally. And everybody wants to sell this information. I don't give a damn about selling this information. I just want to teach as many people as possible to get to some form of business freedom, whether you work for somebody else, whether you run your own business, because by God, building a business is the hardest damn thing I've ever done in my life. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, 20 years straight commission sales, and those were cakewalks compared to launching and building my own company. Yeah. And, my biggest thing is I got to a point with the business where it was so bad that I didn't want anybody to know. Yeah. And there was nobody, I didn't know who to turn to, who to ask. And nobody was saying, hey, I got you, come this way.
Yeah.
So my biggest purpose is to be the guy that says, hey, come on, you got this, come this way. This is the next step. This is what you need to be doing.
So I want to talk a little bit about that story, but before we do, how do you specifically get to live that passion out today?
You F it up a lot. I cleaned that up just for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So the biggest things we do is we have conferences, we have podcasts, we have books, we have a lot of things that teaches, a lot of these things. Is that what you're asking specifically?
Yeah. What are the things you're doing in the market?
Yep. So we have the Badass Business Summit for sure, where we bring, people and business owners from all across the world, and we teach them how to actually build their business so they can, actually scale it. We have Success Champions Networking, which is the fastest growing networking organization on the planet, where we fixed everything that people hate about traditional networking. Yeah. And we are really pouring into people with a lot of training, a lot of education, and helping people, really, really grow their businesses by pouring into them. Then we have masterminds where we, bring in business education, outside speakers, and a lot of things, books, podcasts. The Growth Mode podcast is the top 200 podcast in like 19 countries now, and continues to grow. I've got 5 best-selling books, so it's been a hell of a damn journey, but it's all centered around everything I do is literally the stuff I wish somebody would have told me
Yeah.
when I was at the toughest moments of my life.
Well, so let's start with that. I mean, so, you know, this is the Redefining Success
Sure,
podcast.
sure.
So, what are some of the biggest things that you didn't know? How did you F it up?
Yep.
And what did you learn along the way about what was really true?
So I didn't know that I could be a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever, until I was 40 years old.
Really?
Mom, dad, blue collar, you go
Yep.
get a job, you work for other people. No entrepreneurs in my family. So I didn't have the lemonade stands or anything like that.
Yep.
Nobody around me was running businesses.
Mm.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yep.
Turned 40 in 2017. And I started hearing guys like Gary Vee and Tim Ferriss and all these people, Tony Robbins even, talking about this whole idea of being an entrepreneur and this entrepreneur concept. And they were really good at selling the idea of you could start your own business. I mean, it became like, ooh, this might be the new MLM type thing, right? Is anybody can start a business and find success with it. You know, I was buying into the idea hook, line, and sinker. But at that point in my journey, I had found tremendous success. So I
Mm.
spent 20 years in straight commission sales. So I've never really had a salary position ever. And my last career is with an organization called Sandler Training.
Yep.
And I supposedly became one of the top sales trainers in the country. I'm not really sure what that means, other than I'm really good at flapping my gums in front of a room, right? And in my franchise, because Sandler's a franchise, I picked up business partner.
Wow.
And I really thought that Sandler Training, doing sales training, was going to be my retirement plan, right? That was going to be the thing. My wife and I had built our dream farm. We had
Mm.
built a second house on the property, and for my in-laws to live out their days. You know, my father-in-law got to live here 6 months before he passed on. My mother-in-law's still on the farm.
Mm.
And we were living a really, really comfortable life. And I was content that this was going to be my journey.
Sure.
During a fateful dinner, my then business partner said a phrase to me that forever changed my life. And what he said to me was, Donnie, thank God you're my retirement plan. He said it out of love. I took it out of love, man. He's still a phenomenal friend of mine, great mentor, great friend. We still talk. Just a really shitty choice of words.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that dinner, I went and sat in my truck and I looked in the rearview mirror and I'm like, dude, what the F are you doing? And I looked over my entire journey and I'd always been somebody's retirement plan.
Mm.
I'd never chosen my own path. Every career, from going to the Marine Corps to every sales job, it was because the opportunity was there. I never said, ooh, I should go learn this. Ooh, I should go try this. I just took what was in front of me, head down, and got to work.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you do in a blue collar lifestyle. You just
Right.
go to work.
Mm.
And I then did a really dumb thing. In that same moment, I started calculating up the millions upon millions of dollars I sold over the years
Yeah.
and what they kept and what I got to keep.
Yeah.
There was a huge gap there. I had a very hard conversation with myself at that moment. I said, dude, you were living a great life, right? By some standards, you're hitting success that a lot of people may never see,
Yep.
right? You either get comfortable living this life and live it, enjoy it, right? There's nothing wrong with that lifestyle. We had a dream farm. We were making great money. There's nothing wrong with that life. But you have to start either living that life, and to do that, you got to turn off the dreams, right? Because if you keep those dreams going, all you're going to do is make yourself freaking miserable.
Yep. Yep.
Or you get in the damn game. That was my choice I gave myself. You either turn off the dreams or you get in the game. 15 days later, I walked away from it all and launched my own company. I couldn't turn off the dreams. Couldn't turn off the dreams. And so I was going.
Wait. Just real quick, because what did your wife think when you did that?
Damn it. People love asking that question. And here's the thing. That 15th day was the first day I told her I was doing this.
Oh, you didn't. You waited.
Yep. And the reason I waited wasn't because I was scared she was going to tell me don't do it.
Yeah.
I was scared she was going to say, "You got this."
Mm,
Right. And
mm,
that scared me more than anything else because now um, I had somebody believing in me more than I really believed in myself in the moment.
mm,
And that scared the crap out of me. Right.
yeah.
So, dude, when I told her, she instantly went into tears, lost her freaking mind because it was such a shock and awe. I didn't give her any ramp up to, hey, we got 15 days to figure it out. It was boom, we're doing this. Once she caught her breath, she looked at me and said, make it work.
Yeah. Mm, mm,
Right now, I got no choice. What screwed me up within 24 hours, two corporate attorneys showed up on my farm and served me my non compete papers.
mm.
I couldn't talk about sales, business development, sales management, or sales training anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
In the world.
Wow.
I've had so many people tell me that it wouldn't have stood up, internationally. I went and got my attorneys and said, we're in Texas. We're going to battle this thing out. Then my attorneys assured me, no problem. We'll beat this non-compete. No big deal. Week later, my attorneys come back to me and they're like, we got a problem. I'm
Mm,
like, okay. They're like, they're going to fight it and they're going to fight it tooth and nail. I said, okay. They go, you will absolutely win this. No problem. But here's what you need to know. You're going to be about $500,000 in. And by the time you win this, your non-compete will actually be up because they are going to bury us in paperwork.
yep. Yep.
So I started my company off as a success coach. And I'm going to tell you, Eric, I to this day have no damn clue what the hell a success coach is. Okay. It's obviously some sort of business whore that just says yes to anything.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't talk about sales, so I was doing anything I could possibly could. I
Yep.
was also throwing a ridiculous amount of money on coaches, processes, things, trying to figure out this whole how do you run a business.
Wait. You just said that you can't just leave that. I think you just said something really important.
Fire
You're
away.
in a place where you got no, in one sense, no idea where the next paycheck is coming from. Did I hear
Correct.
that part right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But at that point, you were investing in other coaches in yourself.
Yes. 100%.
So I want people who are listening, because what typical success would say is you invest in yourself when you have the money.
Mm.
And what Donnie's saying is when you really want breakthrough, you invest in yourself when you know there's potential and there's opportunity and you figure out the money.
I really thought everybody was going to have the answers.
Mm.
So and I 100% agree with you. I can tell you I hired a lot of the wrong people.
Sure.
I invested in a lot of the wrong programs, so much so that 6 months into running my business, I stood on the back porch of my dream farm, looked at my wife dead in the eyes, who said, make it work, and said, babe, we're about to lose everything we own.
Really?
The mortgage was 3 months behind.
Mm.
Her Jeep got repossessed. I actually thought the Jeep was stolen, and then I found out it was repossessed. She had to go in that Monday morning and cash in her 401k to legitimately save the farm and get her Jeep back.
Wow.
She looked at me in that moment
Yep.
and said, Donnie, get off your ass and go sell something. What I realized for me is growing up like I did, working for other people for so many years, I never saw the CEOs of the companies I worked for. The only time I saw the CEOs of the companies I worked for is if I, brought in a multi-million-dollar client or we were losing a multi-million-dollar deal.
Yep.
Right? Now the CEO was interested. I went through a couple of mergers and acquisitions with companies. I would be a part of the final conversation because the size of my book of business, they want to make sure I was going along for the ride.
Yep.
So I had no idea what a CEO did. So now you take a blue collar kid that doesn't know what his business is, can't talk sales, doesn't know what it means to be a business owner and CEO. I threw every bit of cash I had trying to figure this thing out, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
At that moment of my wife telling me to get off my ass and go sell something, I realized that I was doing everything I thought a CEO was supposed to do, which was behind the scenes,
Mm,
building, creating, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is out business development, sales, and the
yeah.
like. So I started doing some business development. But I can tell you that specific night that I told my wife we're about to lose anything, I go upstairs and in my bathroom and I look in the mirror and I can't meet myself eye to eye.
Mm,
I'm not living up my side of our agreement with our marriage,
yeah.
right? That I would take care of her. Her daddy, before he died, said, take care of the family. And I wasn't taking care of the family.
Wow.
And, so here I was not being the man I told her I would freaking be. And I can't look myself in the mirror. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that my life had been a series of excuses. When you work for somebody else, it's really easy to use an excuse, especially from a
Mm,
sales perspective. You can blame the economy, you can blame marketing, you can blame leads, you can blame competition, and
yeah.
it's all a logical explanation. But when it's all yours, no excuse is going to freaking work.
Mm, that's good.
And when I got to the place that I realized at that moment, for this thing to be successful, it was on me.
Mm,
Because
mm,
if I failed, it was also on me.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, and some cool things happened quickly after that, but it was really for me. um I had to go through that moment in my life because I had to have something so great shock the system
Yeah.
to get me to wake up, because I didn't realize that most of my life I kind of lived as this gray man just existing
Yeah. Right.
and not
Right.
actually living.
Yeah.
you know and then quickly after that, I started selling a lot more. I was still confused about what I was selling, but I started making ends meet because I was just trying. I mean, I was selling half-ass coaching, graphic design at one point, whatever I could do. Somewhere around April of 2018, a friend of mine reached out, and I think he was the only person because nobody else knew that we were struggling this bad, right? I wasn't telling a soul that things were this bad. I think he got a sense of it, and he said, I have a stage. There's going to be 400 people in the room. Would you come talk on my stage? And I said, dude, I can't talk about sales. And he said, I know. He goes, I just want you to come tell your story and your journey. So I'm like, cool. So I go to the stage, and I'm not a Tony Robbins style run across the stage freaking out type of speaker, but I had a lot of fun, a lot of energy. And after that, speech, I get off stage and this guy walks up to me and he goes, man, I love your energy. I love your story. Would you come tell it on my podcast? And I
Mm.
said, what the hell's a podcast? And so that was April of 2018. And he's like, it's like news talk radio. I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I drive out to Dallas, Texas. I live in Fort Worth. Drive out to Dallas, go to his studio. We sit down and record the episode, and it was a blast. 2 days later, the episode airs, and one of his listeners reaches out and says, "Hey, I got a 40-person sales team I'd like you to train." And I'm like, "I can't do it.
Mm.
I'm still
Mm.
under the non-compete.
Yeah.
They've zapped me a couple times with legal notices. I'm like, I can't do it." So I went in there and motivationally trained several salespeople on motivation and mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in that moment of being on that podcast, I realized I could go guest on podcast and, find opportunities.
Yeah.
So I started getting on a lot of shows. Well, I happened to go on this really, really bad show. And the host was horrible. The questions were bad. I mean, it was really bad. And I said to myself, I'm like, dude, if this guy can have any sort of success, I'm launching my show. So I go to YouTube University like you do,
Yeah.
and I figure out how to launch a podcast. So with a gaming headset with a little mic that comes out the side,
Right.
my laptop and Zoom, I launched my podcast.
Wow.
5 months later, that podcast became number 22 in the world. And I
Wow.
was sitting next to Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee, Tony, all the
Yeah.
guys. And then in September of 2018, my non-compete came up.
Mm.
So now I had all this momentum from podcasting.
Yeah.
Now I could talk about sales and business development. So flash forward to where we are now, and that's how we have the 3 companies, top podcast, 5 best-selling books, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oh,
Donnie, I'm fascinated by this, but I think a question that I would love to ask, I don't know how many of these people would be listening, but I think we still need to ask the question. To the person who's stuck in the blue collar mindset or came from a blue collar mindset, what's the message to them from a redefining success kind of mode of like, here's what you think you need to be achieving, but here's what's actually possible?
100%. Either get okay and live the life you have, right? You either get okay and you live that life. So what so many people don't grasp is wherever they are on their journey, if they will live that life, they will be so damn happy. The problem is everybody keeps daydreaming about what they could have and what success should be and what they should be experiencing and the vehicles and the cars and the trips, and they're doing all this stuff and they're not living. So you either get good and live that life because you learn to live that life, and you're going to find so much abundance into your life, because the joy that comes from actually enjoying your family or where you're at and living and experience their time with them just brings abundance in. Okay. Turn off the big dreaming and enjoy that life.
Yep.
Or go do the craziest, damn, scariest freaking thing you can possibly think of and don't throw in the towel. Because the number one thing that kept me going through all of those dark times was I only fail if I quit. The second thing that I kept telling myself is I made up a fictitious story that said, I have thousands of people watching me. And if I quit, I validate their fears for chasing life.
Wow.
Because if Donnie can't do it, I can't do it.
Yeah.
There was nobody watching, right? But I kept telling myself this over and over again. And so I had, you only fail if you quit. And if you throw in the towel, you're letting all them down.
Yeah.
And those two things kept me pushing forward. So for your listeners, live the life you have and that is a beautiful, amazing thing. Live it.
Yeah.
Or get in the damn game. But you're not going to be able to do both. You cannot just live and go, ooh, I want this life, I want to do this. You're just going to make yourself freaking miserable.
Yeah.
And that's where I was.
Wow.
Right? Pick a path and go.
What do you think is the biggest difference, especially growing up? I know that you said you didn't figure this out till you were 40, but what do you think the biggest difference is of like maybe when you were 18, 19 on what you thought a successful life would look like versus what you've kind of uncovered and learned since then?
So I had 2 patriarchs in my life, my uncle and my grandfather, and these guys were your typical old gray-haired 3-piece suits, corporate America, skyscraper buildings. I mean, my uncle was like number 3 in Bank of America. My grandfather ran the largest sulky ranch in Ohio. Both of them pretty much ended up losing all their money because of bad business dealings and the like. But for me, success was power. And I always saw it from the perspective of, you had to, put a different way, success meant you had to be an asshole. Because my grandfather was a jackass, my uncle was a jackass. I mean, my uncle, they're family. You can love family and not like them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So I loved them. I didn't like them, but I loved them. Right? The day I got my commercial printing job, I was so stoked that I was going to go back into corporate America, been on a journey. I called my uncle up. He's like number 3 in Bank of America. And if anybody's ever seen the green skyline of downtown Dallas, that skyline, there's a one green tower.
Yep.
72, he was like, 74th, third floor or something up in that damn thing, right? When I called, so excited that I got in this job, his response was, call me when you get a real job.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So here I was projecting that that's where I got to get to.
Yep.
And the guy who I thought was success is now telling me I don't even have a real damn job. So I think I went for the next 10 or so years on this crazy journey of, I don't know who I am. I know don't want that, but I know I need to make money.
Yeah.
So I was really in this weird, in even back it up a little bit further. I'm in St. Louis, part of a franchise sales team, and a guy pulls me to the side and says, "Hey, you got to quit telling people that you're a veteran, because being a veteran in corporate America means jack shit, right?" So
Uh,
let me explain, because people always get hung up on this. I'm not saying people aren't patriotic. I'm not saying people don't love the men and women who serve this country. I'm saying it doesn't mean jack shit in corporate America,
got it.
right? It's like having a college degree. It means nothing
Mm, mm,
until you get there. Only thing a college degree gives a one leg up on a veteran is they think that piece of paper is more powerful than 4 years of service,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
One got paid nothing to do it, the other one paid to do it. That's the only differences. So um, I was leaning heavily that I was a Marine. So now I was told, don't tell people you're a veteran, right? Now I'm getting later in life, getting told by my uncle that I don't have a real damn job.
Right.
And here I'm trying to be somebody. I'm trying to grow up, trying to be this image of success. And I'll be honest, for 10 so years, I had no idea what success looked like for me anymore,
Mm, wow.
because I was basically living multiple lives. There was work Donnie and there was home Donnie, and those people, I was always scared that if those two people met, nobody would
Mm,
like either one of them.
yeah.
So I was living this duality of life. And yeah, that's why I tell everybody, nobody tells you when you launch a business that you're going to freaking meet yourself,
Mm. Oh, there you go. That's good.
right? Because when you run out of excuses, like I talk, go back to the mirror. When you run out of excuses and you realize everywhere you're at in life is because of every decision and choice you've made, you can't blame anybody else for that.
You really can't.
That's on you. So I tell everybody, if they are in that spot like I was, that 10-year period where I didn't know what success was, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I was just kind of moving through life, go to the mirror,
Mm,
because you can't lie to yourself, right? You look in the mirror, and I challenge anybody listening to this to look in the mirror and say these words, dead in the eye, look at yourself and say, I'm proud of you. And
mm,
as soon as you say those words, that little voice, gremlin, whatever you want to call it's going to pop its head up, and it's going to have a self-doubt moment right then and there.
yeah.
Whatever that self-doubt moment is, that's the exact thing you got to move towards,
Mm,
right?
that's
Because
good.
that self-doubt is 100% the voice of where you don't believe you're doing the things to be proud of. So you got to go figure out, how do I get proud of doing that thing?
Mm, mm,
And when you start working on that, man, you really start getting to know yourself.
yeah. The
Later in
most
life.
powerful day I find anyone owns or anyone creates, and you've just kind of captured it, is the day that you own responsibility for where you are.
Yeah, it's the absolute truth. Yeah,
I
it's
remember,
absolute
I
truth.
can remember the day it happened for me, and I remember my first response was, no, 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 no. I've got all these reasons and excuses. And then I was like, oh no, oh no, they're right. It is all my fault. It is all
Yep,
me. It's
yep,
all on me.
yep.
That's
You
an
know,
incredible.
and the almost 5 years now, it'll be 5 years this month of building a business. I have personally evolved as an individual more in these last 5 years than the 40 years prior to it.
Mm, I can see that. Yeah.
So if I mean, I have finally been diagnosed with adult ADHD, which didn't give me an excuse for how I was growing up, but it gave one hell of an explanation.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm constantly fascinated with how I'm continuing to evolve and how I'm continuing to move through the journey. But this is why my vision is to change how the world networks. And we've done that and we continue to do that. But my purpose is I'm going to help as many damn people get to business freedom by teaching them all the things I wish I knew.
Yeah.
Because you got one side of the spectrum that start a business, you should be able to build a business. It's going to be easy type mindset, MLM,
Yeah.
network marketing sales tactic. And nobody's out there going, hey,
Mm,
you got this.
mm,
Keep going. It's going to work.
yeah.
Here's the next step. Here's the tactical things you need to be doing in your business. And we've built our entire business on that foundation.
Oh, that's fantastic. Donnie, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of conversation, unfortunately. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you wanted to make sure you got a chance to share?
Not anything in particular that I wish you'd ask me, but the one thing I want your listeners to understand is we get one ride on this rock,
Yeah.
one rodeo, and it is 100% on you to create it and live it the way you want to live it. And you can either go back to live the life, live this life, and quit beating yourself up for not going bigger and doing all the crazy things.
Yeah.
The top 1% of wealth in the world, the top 1%, the entry level for financial income for the top 1% in the world right now is $488,000.
Mm.
If you make $488,000, you are in the top 1% of the entire world. And I want people to hear that and understand that, because they're like, oh, I got to be a millionaire. I've got to do these things. I got to have the big cars. I got to do all this stuff. When you project that and you don't do the work it takes to create that, you're going to make yourself damn miserable.
Yeah.
Live the life you live, or finally get in the damn game.
So I know that you've got your book. Again, put on your big boy pants. Fuck the focus. You've got your Success Champion networking. What's going on? If people want to get in touch with you, they want to follow what you're doing. They want to like, man, this is exactly what I need to hear. I need to engage with Donnie. What's the best way for them to reach out to you or stay in touch with what you're doing?
So 2 easy methodologies. One, go to DonnieBoivin.com, and that's DONNIE, B as in boy, OI, V as in Victor, IN.com, and everything you'll find there.
Okay.
Or you can text the word success to 817-318-6030, and we'll send you a whole bunch of free stuff and information. So text the word success to 817-318-6030. And guys, connect with me on social. It's Donnie Boivin. Freaking send me DMs, ask questions. I love helping people as much as I possibly can. So connect. But for your listeners, one of the greatest things they can do for me right now,
Yep,
is guys, if you are listening to this and you got any value out of this episode or any other episode that Eric's done, do him the honor and share this episode or any other episode out to one person. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of us that are out there trying to help you guys go further on your journey, and it takes a lot of work, and building your audience is a bitch. It takes a lot of damn work to get more listeners. So if you're getting any value, one tip, one trick, anything you can apply, share it with one person who needs to hear this message. It's going to help Eric get his voice further out there so we can impact and change more lives.
Donnie, thank you for that. It's a gift to
Absolutely.
me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, so before we go, my last question is always the same. So in 3 generations, I typically ask about what your great-grandchildren remember about you, but this could be nieces, nephews. The key to this question, it is most likely people who didn't know you. So what do you hope is remembered about you in 3 generations?
That he helped an entire generation move to business freedom. That the crazy times that we're in, I'm so fascinated with these kids coming up right now that aren't going into corporate. Everybody's worried about the great resignation. I'm more excited about the great, I'm not going to apply to be part of your damn company.
Right.
I love this day and age they're in. I hope I become one of the voices for all those people that actually teach them how to make this successful.
Powerful. More people need to be doing that. Donnie, thank you so much for being with me today. It's been
my honor.
Great time.
My honor.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining the show. We will be with you again next time. Have a great day. God bless you.